Welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place
for all things multifamily.
For all things multifamily, we are charged and ready to go. I've got my cup of coffee. I've only had probably like 5 of these so far today. So, I'll probably just be
through the roof,
spewing unbelievable content that will take people to the places that they want to go easier, faster, and better. And oh, by the way, it'll happen by the end of the day. How about that?
You might as well have 5 more cups.
Oh, man. Well, glad you're here and glad you're with us too on this podcast. If you're watching or listening, appreciate you and appreciate you being a part of this podcast. This episode especially, a couple quick things. If what we talk about here resonates with you, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and we'd love to hear your comments on what we're going to be covering today. And so what we're going to be covering today has to do with instincts, and specifically investment instincts, and specifically digging a little deeper, specifically because of the day and age and distractions and things that go on now in our world that can impact you and your investment. Whether it's politics, whether it's social stuff, whether it's economic, and there's so many things going on globally too that, there's a lot of things to consider today. Compared to 5 years ago, there's like 5x things to consider today, even compared to 5 years ago. Welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the shorter, more profitable path to multifamily ownership and investing. You really kind of come full circle with all this. Instincts are very critical and crucial. They always are, but especially today with all of the things going on out there in terms of your instincts, what you think, what you feel, and really where your instincts tell you to invest and also not invest. And Trot and I have this kind of conversation with somebody at least once a week. We had a meeting with a guy in the conference room here a couple of days ago. We kind of talked about that. I know you're talking with some folks online about it. So, this is something that comes up a lot, not directly, but it comes up a lot. So that's why we're going to be covering and we're going to be discussing it, because it's super important that we have this conversation. Okay. And Trot, when you think of instincts, what do you think of in terms of instincts?
Just your gut.
Your gut.
How do you feel when something comes up and how is it going to affect your decision? Or what decision are you even going to make, really?
Yeah.
And when it comes to instincts, you always have a feeling, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, how do you feel about that? So when somebody asks you that, or even when you ask yourself that, you're pretty much saying, well, what are your instincts telling you? Right? What are your instincts telling you? And again, we've all got instincts, but let me just kind of go down a level. So let's talk about animals for a second. So, like my dogs. So my dogs, if it's 4th of July and the fireworks are going off, my dog's instincts are to either bark or to run away. They're not sitting around thinking, it's just the fireworks and it's going to be fine. Their instincts kick in and tell them what to do, and they just act. And so, there's like that, we all know that animals have instincts and they act more on instincts. Speaking of dogs, a lot of times owners can be bitten, other people can be bitten when, the dog's been, my pet for 10 years, 5 years. Well, if they do that, it's because of instincts, right? So instincts play a huge role, not only at kind of a down level, but I wanted to kind of bring that up because we could and should really be using the same kind of instincts in terms of reacting, okay, and doing and making in our world the right reactions to investing. And by the way, so when we're talking about investing, we're going to talk a little bit about money here. Of course, when we talk about investing, most people think we're talking about money, and we are. But you and I know this. We're also talking about investment of time, in something or somewhere, investment of energy in something or somewhere, and really what your instincts tell you about that. Because we could have a philosophical conversation regarding time, for example, and really talk about how that's actually more important than investing money, but we won't go there. But you get the point. You get the point where we're at here. And so right now in today's world, it's really hard to use your instincts because there's so many things competing for that instinct, that attention of your instinct. So many things going on out there. There's so many pieces of it. You're being bombarded every day with something that flies counter to your instincts. Okay, so this is very easy to get screwed up. This is not a perfection kind of thing. It's more of a reminder kind of thing. Okay, so Trot, when you and I we're out looking at apartment properties to buy, for example.
Right.
We're looking through them. We're doing our analysis. I mean, we just got done kind of reviewing a 40 plus unit property, and we didn't spend a lot of time reviewing it. You check some things out, and what was your instinct about that property?
Well, instantly when I got there, my instinct was no.
Okay, so stop right there. I want to stop you right there. So instinct right there was no.
Yep.
So you already knew.
Yes.
Just by how many minutes were you there?
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
I pulled
10
in the parking
seconds.
lot and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
And but you still got to check it out because, just in case, what if, and so I start opening doors and I'm like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I didn't think it was that bad.
Right.
I show up to the parking lot, there's trash everywhere, fine. There's 5 cars in a 48 unit lot, probably pretty vacant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I start opening doors and everything's gutted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to the next door and it's screwed shut.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the heck? I knew it was a no,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know it was that much
Right.
of a no. And
Right.
so when I kept going, my instinct kept getting more and more and more concrete that it was just no. And,
Right.
Something like that, they could offer you something really, really, or that sounded really nice. But I think it's important to understand your instinct and realize, hey, I didn't feel good about it. Even if it's, the right price, maybe it's not worth it.
Right. So here are the stages that you went through. And this is key because this is the stage that we all go through. So you just described the stages that we all go through when our instinctual feelings crop. So yours came up, you were there, you said what, 10 seconds?
Probably.
10 seconds. They're like, okay, no, the answer is no on this. Okay. And that's the process we all go through. So the first process we go through, and again, this is an investment of, we're talking a multifamily property, but this is time on something, effort, energy. So there's other places to invest, but the concept is the exact same. So you started out with the feeling of no, right? You already knew. And I would submit to everybody listening and watching, we all have this feeling within 10 seconds of what we are perceiving as a place to invest. We all have that perception within the first 10 or 15 seconds. We all do, no matter what it is. We all do. And so the first thing is to listen to that. Listen to that. Don't ignore it. Don't suppress it. You listen to it. Okay, so you listen to yours. So step 1 for you was within 10 seconds, you got that instinct. Okay, you didn't suppress it. You thought about it. Then what was your next step after that?
I started checking it out still.
Okay, so you went to step 2. So step 2 is my instincts right away tell me this. Now I'm going to spend some more time doing a little bit of research, doing a little bit of due diligence, doing a little bit of investigative work, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that what I'm feeling right away is pretty much the way I need to be instinctually feeling about this investment. Okay, so you did that. So how much time were you there at the property?
Probably 15, 20 minutes is all.
15, 20 minutes.
Because I couldn't get into any of the buildings.
Okay, all right. So you're there 15, 20 minutes. So after that 15, 20 minutes, What did you have the support that you needed?
Yeah, all the justification.
You pretty much knew.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, so the third part of it then was you had a conversation with me about it.
Yeah.
So you came back to the office, we sat down, and you pretty much laid out what you saw and what you ran into, just to make sure that there weren't any blind spots to what you were seeing or thinking about. Right?
Right.
Okay. And that's the third process is you go ahead and get maybe another opinion, another point of view, maybe do a little bit more research here or there. And this isn't anything that you need to be spending hours and hours on. It's just maybe another extra step just to make sure that that first instinct is correct, that little support that you had is correct. And now after you've maybe checked something out a little more independently, you're finding out, yeah, this isn't it, right? This isn't it. Now, what we've just described is pretty much what we all go through, which is what I said before in terms of our investment instincts. But what do a lot of people end up doing? What do they do? They ignore it.
Yep.
They ignore it. So here's the worst thing we could do. How do we make this work?
Yeah.
Right? We have the conversation now about your instincts say no way. There's no way in hell this is going to be something we want to get involved in. You did the supporting work. You checked things out. Again, it's no way. You and I had a conversation. Again, it's no way. Now, the worst thing we can do is try to fit that square peg in a round hole.
Right.
But that's exactly what a lot of people do. That's exactly what a lot of people do. Okay. And what happens then is you find, so let's play this out. Let's kind of push this down the road a little bit. So let's say we decide, even though our instincts and the supporting work we've done up to that point tell us, no way, man. No way. We can't spend another minute on this thing. We can't waste the time. But we do. We go ahead and we buy this property. Okay. What do you think are going to be the results after we buy this property? What's going to happen?
You're going to kick yourself in the foot the whole time.
It's going to be an effing disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be a disaster. Then what are we going to wish we didn't do a year or 2 years down the road? Maybe even sooner.
Purchase the property.
Right.
You would have followed your instinct, your original instinct.
Does that
10 seconds?
Exactly. Does that analogy, does that sound familiar to you? Have you ever regretted doing something, especially with your investing? Of course, money, a multifamily property. I mean, I have. What we're describing here, I've done the square peg in the round hole thing a few times. It took a few times and a few, of those experiences for me to figure out I really, really, really need to be listening to my instinct right away. Okay. But what we just described is what a lot of people go through. So if you're at a point where you're regretting an investment that you got in, whether you lost money, whether you lost time, whether you lost a combination of things, and it just turned out to be bad, I pretty much guarantee you what you did was you went ahead and went forward anyway, despite what your instincts were telling you. Now, kind of the disadvantage in a way of being a human being. So like an animal, their instinct kicks in and they just automatically go. They do whatever their instinct does. Here's what we do. Oh, my instinct's telling me not to do this. And there's all these reasons why I shouldn't, or maybe should. Maybe it's the other thing. Maybe your instincts tell you to do it. And the opposite thing is you decide not to. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying this episode. I'm going to be having a free webinar coming up, the link's below, on how to correctly and with low risk invest your IRA or 401k in really good multifamily properties. A majority of our investors do this. I do this personally. It's not illegal. Make sure you click the link below. We'd love to have you. And then we go through that rationalization and then we make the mistake. And by the way, here's the other mistake that we make. How many stories have you heard of people missing out on something they should have bought? How many of those have you heard?
Every day.
Yeah.
And that goes up to even the highest of, the hierarchy. It's like, you see Mark Cuban say you missed out on XYZ, but then it comes down all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, all the way. And so this works in reverse. I want to make sure that we take at least a minute to talk about that. It's not so much the negative aspects of not listening to your instincts and the negative impact that that can have on you at some point in time. That's fairly obvious. And that's like the first thing most of us think of. But where this is really important is when it comes to opportunities. Because when your instincts are like, pull the trigger, go for it, do it, whether it's that investment, whether it's that, where you're going to spend your time, whether it's that seminar, whatever it is, if your instincts are like, I got to go, and you don't, you're going to be telling the story, not the story of how it didn't work out, but the story of how you missed out. I can't tell you how many stories I have heard from people that did not buy a piece of real estate. It doesn't have to be multifamily, a lot of the stories we hear, but the story of, in 1997, I had the opportunity to buy that property for $62,000. Today it's worth $6,460,000. I mean, we've all heard those stories, and maybe some of you listening or watching have been personally part of those kind of stories. Okay, so this instinct thing, this listening, then looking at that supporting information, then maybe getting an independent opinion here or there. Okay, and by the way, that independent opinion needs to be from somebody that knows what they're talking about, not from your Uncle Lou who has no idea what you're talking about. They just happen to be your Uncle Lou. Hope that makes sense. Okay, and so this is crucial. And I would submit to you, if you're not where you really want to be, financially, emotionally, physically, whatever it is, a lot of it ties back to you not paying attention to your instinct, going through the process we just went through, and moving forward, or in some cases, not moving forward. Okay. You probably have no situations in your life when this has been the case, right?
No.
You've been perfect through this, right?
Yeah.
Your instinct, you followed it perfectly every step of the way, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
The
list is long. We probably have a 4-hour podcast on when I didn't do this right. Maybe 5 hours. So, we're not coming to you from a frame, of course, of we've got this figured out, we're perfect, and we've never made a mistake with this. I frankly, one of the reasons why I think that we can speak with some authority on this is because of the mistakes that I have made as a result of not paying a lot of attention to this. And of course, the older you get, the wiser you get, the more gray hair you get, the little wiser you get, and so the more you start to listen to your instincts. So, let's kind of end this episode with, what kind of advice what should people that are listening or watching, and that this resonates with them, what's like maybe the one or two things that they should be doing moving forward as a result of their instincts? What do you think they would be?
Well, I think one, it happens in every situation in life. It's not just real estate, and so once you understand that, it's when you go throughout your day, you're going to have them probably all day. And some are simple, like, oh, my stomach hurts, maybe I should go to the bathroom. That's kind of just human nature at this point, right? But some are bigger, and I think you need to take that feeling that you get, the instinct that you get when that happens, and kind of analyze it and see how you actually feel. And sometimes, you get really good at it and you can just act like that. You can go, you get the instinct, go. But there's some that, takes some time. And so I think you should take that feeling, take that instinct, analyze it, again, talk to somebody about it, and then make your decision off of that.
Yeah. Awareness is huge on that, and taking action on it. So being aware that this is the case, and when you say analyze, I'm sure you're not talking about, okay, sit down and takes 3 weeks to analyze this. No, you're basically going to awareness and then going through that mental process of really understanding what your instincts are telling you, and going from there. And by the way, don't be surprised if sometimes the whole outside world or environment's telling you go one way, but your instincts are telling you go the other.
It's usually good.
Happens a lot, which is why we're saying it, because there's a lot going on out there that can have an influence on that. But listen to your instincts. Sure, take in that information. Sure, go ahead and do your study. Listen to the information, watch the information, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, be aware of your instinct and what it's telling you, and make sure you don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. It's there. It's been there ever since I think we've been cavemen, I'm pretty sure. And so it's there for a reason. Listen to it and either act or don't act upon how you're listening to it, but just make sure you stay aware of it. All right. Trot, you got anything to part with? Any last comments or takeaways?
I got nothing.
Okay. Me either. And I want to thank you. Thank you. My instinct tells me this is a good podcast.
I think so.
That's what that tells me. So thank you for joining Trot and I on this episode, this instinct episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show.
The place for all things multifamily.
That's right. The place, the only place. My instinct tells me it's like the only place, multifamily. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.